Well, over the last several Tuesdays, every Tuesday throughout the month of May, we've been chatting with some folks at Lamoille County Mental Health, and we've been doing this for a number of years now in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're wrapping up our series today. We've got Ross King and Ray Gordon with us this morning. Ross is the service coordinator for home providers with Lamoille County Mental Health Services, and Ray Gordon is actually a person who provides home. I guess he's the home providee or provider, one of those. Anyway, Ross and Ray are with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you both here this morning. So why don't we start with you, Ross, and talk about through Lamoille County Mental Health Services what a home provider is and what they do.
All right. Awesome, Roland. So again, I'm Ross. I'm a service coordinator for the Developmental Services Department at Lamoille County Mental Health. This means that I help coordinate people's services. We help with employment supports, community supports, shared living provider, respite, clinical supports, and transportation. What we're going to talk about today was our shared living providers and what they do for our consumers. Often we just call them home providers. I have Ray here with me, and he's going to help explain a bit about them and how they have impacted him. Ray actually lives with a shared living provider, so hopefully he can provide some cool insight.
Okay, Ray, so talk a little bit about your experience right now.
Okay, so hi, I'm Ray Gordon. Ross is actually my service coordinator over at Lamoille County, and he tries his best to keep me in line. I have lived with a home provider since October of 2014. Before I lived with them, I lived at home with my family, which was not a great place for me to live. Just was not working out. Because of that, I needed to find a home provider. I was able to find a lovely home provider who had an apartment in their home that I was able to move into. This was really cool, as the apartment was really awesome. It has a living room, mini kitchen, bedroom, and a private bathroom. I was able to make this space my own and add things I like, such as my TV and gaming system. Fortunately, I am able to go eat with my home provider every day, and even if I don't want to eat with them, they still make sure I have plenty of food. My home provider will either make sure there's easy stuff to make, I can make, or either make it, or she'll cook something I can't.
Ray pays room and board for his home provider. This covers his rent and his food for the month. The home provider is responsible for ensuring they have food that they can access. This looks different for each consumer. If the consumer can cook safely, then oftentimes they help cook their own meals. If they struggle with cooking or are unsafe in the kitchen, then the home provider makes all of their meals. Ray, what are some other things your home provider does to help you?
My home provider also will help with my medical appointments. She helps me make them and will help drive me to the appointments. Sometimes she even comes in to listen to what the doctor says to make sure I understand what's going on.
That's right, Ray. Home providers are responsible for ensuring the well-being of the consumers who live with them. This means helping with medical appointments, managing and administering medications to consumers, and sometimes helping with special care procedures. Does your home provider help in other ways?
Well, yes. She has also helped me through some really tough emotional times. Since I've been living here, my mom and baby sister both passed away. I was really close with them, and this was a very difficult time for me. My home provider was very emotional for me and even drove me several hours so that I could be with my family during those tough times. I was incredibly grateful for her kindness and support through all of that. She is very caring and helpful.
Tell me more, Ray. How is she helpful?
She has a calendar for me that says when I work, when I have support, who they're with, when I have appointments, and recurring activities that I do. Most days I like walking from my home to the village, but sometimes I walk on days when I probably shouldn't. My home provider made a checklist for me that tells me when I have to ask for a ride into town so I can be safe.
That's awesome, Ray. Many of our home providers are pretty darn good at keeping their consumers' schedules straight. Is there anything else folks should know about home providers?
Yeah, I'm lucky that my home provider treats me like her family. She brings me along on family vacations and to family events. I get along fairly well with her kids, and it is pretty cool having everyone around helping me be successful. My home provider is very thoughtful and caring.
That's great, Ray. Many of our consumers have been with their home providers for so long that they are just part of the family now. Thanks for sharing what it looks like for you to have a home provider. Now I'll give a hopefully brief summary of what home providers are and a little bit of background information.
Okay.
So, starting in 1915, the Brandon Training School was founded. This was a place for individuals with disabilities to go and live. It was a self-contained school with dormitories and everything else needed to run a school. This was segregation and not a great place for anybody to live. In 1993, the Brandon Training School was closed. This was great, but left the state of Vermont with a question of what to do with everyone who had been living there when it closed and for folks going forward. That is where the home providers came into play. They are the needed link to keep folks out of institutional settings and in their communities. At Lamoille County Mental Health, we serve around 100 folks with developmental diagnosis. Of those folks, around half of them have home providers. The state of Vermont allows for home providers to have 2 consumers in their home. We do have several instances of this, as well as some split homes. A split home is when an individual has 2 different home providers. They will stay with one for 1 week, and then go to the other home provider the next week, and so on and so forth. We don't have very many instances of split homes, but it is all about what the consumer needs to be successful. On to the money. I know a big thought on everybody's mind is, what does a home provider get paid? In short, it's kind of tough to say because it's a big old broad spectrum, but I would say probably around $24K annually. But the important thing to know about that is it's all about what the consumer's needs are, so it changes. Right. Another question I hear quite often is, how does somebody become a home provider? It's a fairly straightforward process. Folks apply and say how they can support consumers. Lamoille County Mental Health then reviews the application and looks at them with any consumers who may be looking for a home. In a perfect world, a prospective home provider will meet with the consumer several times before trying to do some respite. Respite is basically some overnight stays at the prospective home provider's house, just to feel it out and see if they are a match. If both the prospective home provider and the consumer are happy and think it will work, then there's a bunch of paperwork, and then they are the home provider. To wrap up, as Ray said, home providers support their consumers to remain in the community setting. Without them, many of our folks would still be in settings such as the Brandon Training School. Through the support they receive from their shared living providers, consumers are able to live their lives just like everyone listening right now.
All right, Ross King. And if folks want to find out more, I suppose they can contact Lamoille County Mental Health Services or go to their website, correct?
Exactly. Okay.
And, of course, the website is lamoille.org. And do you have the phone number handy there?
It is 802-888-5026.
Okay, great. Ross King and Ray Gordon with us this morning in a wrap-up of our Lamoille County Mental Health Services Mental Health Awareness Month. Well, thank you both for being with us this morning, and enjoy the sunshine today. Get out and enjoy that, too. Thanks to both of you for coming on.
Thanks, Roland.
Okay, take care. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ross. Ross King and Ray Gordon this morning. Talking about home providers and home providing through Lamoille County Mental Health Services. Again, you can go to lamoille.org to find out more.